healing emotional wounds for highly sensitive people. Why do we even have these emotional wounds in the first place? And what happens because of them? And what can we do to heal? Watch this video. As a highly sensitive kid, I have a lot of insight on this subject because, of course, it was my life. What happens with highly sensitive kids, because this is where it begins, is we're put into a system that totally is not set up for us. We have a neurodiversity going on. We think differently. We process information differently. And one of the things people often get wrong is that we actually need to start with the emotional body. We need to feel safe in our environment. We need to feel understood, connected to in a deeper way. And oftentimes that gets mislabeled as wrong or too sensitive or difficult, because when we don't feel that safety, we start to have anxiety. And when we have anxiety, we start to act out in certain ways, whether it be daydreaming or so many things, right? And so what happens when that high sensitivity is not catered to or understood, which it's not 99.9% of the time. A lot of times people get mislabeled with things like you have anxiety disorder, you have ADHD, you have whatever, right? So many things. You may have those things, but the reason you have those things is not because there's something wrong with you. It's because you're in a system that doesn't understand you. So what happens next with highly sensitive people is if these emotional needs do not get tended to, and if we grow up in an environment where there's even more lack of emotional stability, or if there's, families that have dysfunction, and we have, then we have our teen years, and there's kids that have at school who are bullying and all these things, right? Fitting in is so huge. Highly sensitive people naturally feel like they don't fit in because they do process differently. We do sense things differently and more. And it's just a nervous system difference. And it's highly documented in multiple books about the subject now. But because of that, we innately feel different, like we don't fit in, we don't belong. And so if we make it through our teen years and we feel like we fit in, it probably means that part of us has been abandoned. It probably means that we've either, not tuned into our emotional needs or not tuned into certain things that were going on, or we had an extremely supportive environment and family. That could happen, but it's really rare. What often happens is we get through our teen years and we develop these coping mechanisms because something about us is wrong or different. We don't really understand it. It's been told to us that it's what's wrong, but really we know that it's not, but we're not sure. So we develop these coping mechanisms. We become people pleasers or perfectionists, or we hide and become really shy, or we just have a whole false confidence about us that really isn't catering to our real authentic needs. At the end of the day, what that means is we are abandoning parts of our authentic self. And what I know as a highly sensitive person is it is very imperative to reclaim those parts of yourself to step into your purpose. Highly sensitive people also usually have a very large feeling, that calling of having a calling, of purpose, of needing to find their place in the world because they don't feel like they fit into the system. And you're not supposed to fit into the system, but the way that our society is set up is you have to fit in or there's something wrong with you. So we fight against our own natural purpose, which is to be the change. If you're not different, you can't really make a difference, right? So the majority of my work is to help you re-empower those parts of yourself. Oftentimes, highly sensitive people fall into narcissistic relationship dynamics because you're basically a wounded empath in certain ways. And empaths and narcissists go together for multiple reasons, which I explain in my course, Emotional Rehab. So check that out because it's launching right now for the 3rd time this year. And it's really important to learn why we do it, how to heal the wounds behind it, but also how that dynamic doesn't shift until we do that inner work. So what happens in our lives is then we start attracting the same thing that we came from, which is never fully being empowered, never fully being loved unconditionally, never fully having a voice. If you're with a narcissistic person, it has to be all about them. And you have to be an ideal, not a real. And the whole thing with being highly sensitive is you abandon many of your reals, your authenticity, to fit in to this societal ideal. So in a nutshell, healing the emotional wounds of highly sensitive people is about going to that original wound, that core wound, that tribal wound of maybe I don't fit into my tribe, I don't fit into my family, I don't fit into this system, do I not even fit into this world, am I born on the wrong planet? No, you're born on a planet that needs you to empower your gifts that were not taught to you. Empower your gifts so you can be the change. Just look at our systems right now. They're breaking down one by one. We're fighting against racism right now. Amazing. That is a terrible system that we have needed to change for so long, right? Now, hopefully this will help with the justice system, help getting justice for all diversity, for all places in our world that are broken because we're taught as children that if you don't fit into this one specific way, you're not as good, you're not enough, you're broken. It's just not true, you guys. So anyway, I hope you guys check out Emotional Rehab. If you are looking for a weekly group to talk about this kind of stuff, check out Truth Room Tribe. We meet every single week on Zoom, face-to-face. Emotional Rehab also meets every week, but it's on Facebook Live, so totally different. And Emotional Rehab is a 12-week program to really show you the structure of healing this. Truth Room Tribe is highly sensitive people talking about wounding, healing, and coming together as a collective of feeling like, holy shit, we're not different. We're all actually the same. Let's empower each other. So check out those resources. Please share and subscribe if you haven't already. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you soon.